Welcome to Loving Energy Recharge and your daily Oracle card reading for December the 18th. We have started yesterday with a journey into the past life energy healing as we are leading up to the winter solstice on the 21st. So if you have missed yesterday's recording, I highly encourage you to go back and listen. We are doing for the next few days a clearing through any energy that is tied to a past life experience to help us navigate what is sometimes known as the darker days as we lead up to the solstice, as we lead up to the day that has the shortest number of daylight hours available to us, in order to help us recognize and realize that the sun is always there. The sun being God's source, the creator, that life force energy that feeds us all is always there. We are just going through cycles. We are just going through seasons. We are going through sometimes an illusion of allowing the darkness to seep in and hold us stuck in some old stories. So today is day number 2 of the 5 days of clearing through this energy, 5 representing that power of change. So today we step into the overall energy of imprisonment or slavery. And to me, this is the mind talk. This is the stories that get stuck in our minds. And the first card that we have to go with this, because there's a few in this section that has pulled out today, being that it's a story, at the very top of this energy of that imprisonment and slavery is orphan. The little child inside that is imprisoned in the stories of the head of all the times that it was hurt and misunderstood and didn't have its needs met. The child that is calling out for your love and for your attention and for your nurturing. A lot of times it comes out sometimes in our bad behavior because we just want to be understood. We just want to be heard. We want to be nurtured. And it becomes so frustrating when other people don't understand us. Now, today in this energy, you are being asked to sit with the child of you. Don't let that child of you be an orphan any longer. The adult you are today can sit with that child's self, those stories, and you can examine them. You can give it the love and the intention that it requires. You can pick up those pieces of yourself and wrap it and say, you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I forgot about you. I'm sorry that I suppressed that feeling, that emotion. I am bringing you up so I can see you. You are no longer abandoned. I hear you. I see you. I feel you. I'm going to embody you. I'm going to offer you the love. I'm going to hold you in this darkness. So we're going to go through, there's some other cards that came with this, and I'm going to read them out for you in the context of hoping that these become journal prompts. So when you're going through the story of looking at and examining those imprisonment, slavery mindsets of the orphan inside, the first question comes up, the card of monk or nun. Where were you always told that you always had to be good, or that you weren't good, that you were not measuring up? What idea was ever planted in the seed of a child that they had to be perfect? And when you think of your story of that and you compare it to how you feel about other children in the world in general, do you honestly expect a child to be perfect? Or is a child going to make mistakes and that's okay? And in that energy of making mistakes, is there an opportunity to set it free, to get it out of prison and to offer it love and say, you know, it's okay. You just made a mistake. You were just a child. You were just learning. You were innocent. You didn't know. So that is your question number 1. Question number 2 comes to us in protection, and it is Roman. This is all about the light shining down onto the foundation of self. Looking at that home life, looking at that structure. Is there energies that you need to examine in the structure of your upbringing? where that child essence needs to be heard, seen, where you need to see your strength, where you need to allow it to come into the light of the day, to remind yourself that, that wasn't easy, but man, I was strong. I was strong and I got through that. I weathered that storm. So this one becomes an opportunity to show that inner child you are proud of them. You saw what they had to endure and you saw what they were able to do in the best of the circumstances that were given. Acknowledge their strength and their courage. And then the last card that is coming to us, there's two cards. So our second last card is communal living. Feeling yourself in the contents of the environment you grew up in. And going past that to see, what environment did my parents grow up in? Or those that raised me and cared for me, what did they grow up in? How has the stories of their upbringings and their conditioning, how did that filter into mine? That communal living is all about shared ideas, shared beliefs, shared patterns, shared behaviors. And then maybe examining some of that in yourself and saying, are there certain patterns that I don't want to pass on to the next generation? I don't want to bring forward into the next day of myself. So there's an opportunity here in this past life healing to allow some of that foundation, that old communal living aspect that is no longer relevant for this time, to fall away. To know that it is outdated, to know that it is no longer serving who you are. So that becomes the third question. What do I see in past behaviors from the generations before me that have played out in the upbringing of myself as a little child that I no longer want to bring forward into the future? And then the very last journal prompt is looking at the finances. This is value. It is not just about money. It's not just about the ability to buy things, to have things, but it's really looking about the value you place upon yourself. I'm looking at a picture of coins, and in the coins it has the cross, the 4 directions, the medicine wheel. There's so much that can be taken out of the cross. The cross can be a representation of a crucifixion. That is another old story. How many times have we maybe heard, you put Jesus up on the cross? He died for your sins. And are we still stuck in that story of our self-worth? Or have we looked at how things have unfolded, and do we see that, he did come off the cross. He was resurrected. He did show the way to a heaven. He showed that there is life after death. He showed that the wounds can heal. He showed unconditional love and acceptance. Are we remembering the value of setting ourselves free, of letting go of the guilt, the shame, the blame, the sin, the condemning? Are we allowing ourselves to find the hope? So whether you are struggling financially, or you're struggling with value, or you're struggling with a lack of worth, ask yourself that question. If I was to focus on the resurrection and that story that people don't talk about as much, what is something that I would breathe into my today? What is a hope story, a forgiveness story, an unconditional love story that I can write to myself? We're sending you all much, much love today. And especially in these days that we are walking towards the winter solstice. See it as a beautiful opportunity of healing. Don't get stuck up in the fear story of the darker days ahead. You are a light. Shine your way through the darkness. Trust in yourself and let yourself be at peace with it.